Brendan, AGM day, how did you find it in the hall? How was it for you?
Aye, like everyone, it's always great to listen into the support base and hear what they have to ask and comment on. So, yeah, no, it was a nice morning.
I think Michael will love the Al Capone, Al Pacino reference of it. And the was the joke at the end?
Aye, there was a wee bit of that. I was the hitman, I think they said. So, but no, it was very good. There's always some comedy value in it, but also some seriousness in there as well. And it's always great for us to be able to listen to some of the points that come out of the of the AGM and gives us always the opportunity to improve and take on board what the fans say.
I think maybe a central focus was how well the club are structurally and obviously financially as well. For you, when you see that laid bare of just the strength of the club at the moment, how exciting a prospect is that for you as the manager?
It was very much so. I think that what I see over this last year or so, having been in here and I've then really see it grow and develop, has been the unity. And the unity of this is the strength of Celtic. You know, you look at the greatest moments in this club's history as they've normally been together, and that's what Celtic is. And for me, that continuation of that will allow us to grow and develop even more. So that unification of the supporters, the players, the board, everyone makes us a real strong group and strong club. And I'm only interested in Celtic, so I want us to be this as strong as we possibly can be. So going forward, that the infrastructure, the playing side, the performance side, everything, we're in a really good place. But we have to keep improving.
On that improvement, I remember when you came in, there was a real focus on striving in Europe and reaching that next level. Now, as you sit here, you know, making strides in that, do you realign your sort of or readjust your sort of focus and your aims for the short and long term as manager as the club continues to grow and strengthen?
Not really. No, it's still exactly the same thing because we haven't done anything. You know, we've. I think there's always a nice little sort of, I suppose, reflection after the Leipzig game, and for me that was probably 12, 14 months in the making. Because when I came in that I want us to be a really competitive team in Europe, and hopefully this Champions League campaign, it gives Celtic supporters that feeling of what we all want, which is to be a team that's dominant domestically, but can go in and really show our power as a club in Europe. And that's what we've been able to do. But it's sustaining that. That's what's key, and that's the constant progression that we need as a club. So it's not about realigning anything. The targets and objectives here are simple: dominate Scotland and be really strong in Europe, and that's something that we work very hard to do every single day.
In terms of Alistair Johnson signing into a new long-term deal for you, I imagine a very exciting prospect to continue to work with Al.
Yeah, really pleased. I think the club are really good in that side and in the main, getting players committed long-term to the club. And of course, it doesn't always mean that they will be there, but at least it protects the asset. But all the players do sign with the intention of being here for the longer period, and none more so than Ali, because he absolutely loves being a Celtic player. I've really enjoyed my time working with him. I can see his development. I can see him growing. He's got so many attributes that on and off the pitch that really help this team and this club. So, yeah, delighted that he's re-signed.
Brendan, just on those long-term contracts, you've now got a lot of your top players on. How reassuring is that for you as a manager, knowing that either they're going to be here for a very, very long time, or someone's going to have to come in and pay top dollar to take them away?
Well, I think it's great from a playing perspective and a club perspective. It means the players are happy in this moment in time where they are with their development, with the feeling that they have to improve, and they know the size of the club they're playing for. And clearly for the club, our job is to protect assets, you know, and these players that we have here that are growing and developing, they will sort of create a lot of attention around them, which may well lead to them moving one day, and at least if they're protected, then you get the value for them. So, but for me, from a coaching perspective, that's my main focus to have the best players that we have available, to continue to work and develop them and make them the best possible players and people that they can be.
When we spoke to you last month, we asked you about Alistair Johnson's potential contract. That's come now. Is there anything close with Greg Taylor, the other fullback?
I don't think there's anything close, but I repeat, it's definitely something that I really want to do. It's but I have to respect sort of both sides on that, from Greg's side, from the club side, but from a managerial side, I really want him to stay here, and I really hope that we can do everything we can to keep him. But I also respect Greg's position, and there's no drop off with him, and because he's such a great trainer, he has a great mentality. If he didn't renew, I know till the very last day here he will give absolutely everything. But I'm very hopeful that we can sign him, because he's been developed here. His skill set suits how we work on the pitch. He's a brilliant passer of the ball. His view of the game is so good. He plays that inverted role really well for us. Off the pitch, he's a real pillar of the group, and we want to continue with that. We don't want to be moving players like that on. We want to keep those players if they want to stay. So hopefully over time we can get that done also.
In terms of Alistair, Brendan, you spoke about him being an asset, but he's also got leadership skills that you look for as well, because I suppose modern football, some people might say there's not as many of characters of that ilk these days. Has he got something to offer on that side?
I think there definitely is, David, but they're just different. They're not those guys from 15, 20 years or even 10 years ago, you would say. I just think generationally the people change, and what's required changes. I'm lucky here where we have quite a few leaders in our squad. He's definitely one of them. Ali, he's a voice on and off the pitch. His mentality, his training mentality every single day is to be better, to improve. He thinks about the game. He talks, about the game like a coach. He understands the game well, loves the detail, and then he goes and performs with the personality that you need to play at a big club. Because there's been lots of good players can play for a club like Celtic, but you might just not have the personality to deal with the expectation, the demand from the support base. But he has that, and I think we've seen that from his first game. You come in here, and you're only in the door, and you're playing away at Ibrox, and you play like he did. Tells you everything about his personality.
Have you honed in on his attacking game? I mean, look at maybe a year ago, in terms of numbers, assists and even goals, maybe wasn't that much in terms of that output. But this year he seems to have really kicked on. He seems to pop up the box all the time. Is that an area you've honed in on from in the last season onwards?
No, I just think it's as the players start to understand a little bit more of how I would work, then there's that natural side. So rather than having two inverted fullbacks coming in, I tend to normally work with one, which allows, and that one has been normally the left side in Greg, and then allows the one on the other side to march that a little bit more. So for him, that means he's getting in the box, he's up there. And I think once you get that sense of the goal, then you want more of it. But if you look throughout the team, it's also what I demand, not just the striker. Like, I think when I came in here my first time, I think Griff had scored 40 goals. And I said, well, that's no good if no one else has scored. It's great for the striker getting 40 odd goals, but it's no good if you're not getting the goals from elsewhere. So that's always been my mantra. They have to contribute, whether it's the fullbacks, the eights, the centre halves at times from corners, the front players. But for him, he's been absolutely brilliant. First and foremost as a defender, strong, he's aggressive, positioning's good, and then obviously the confidence with our play and our game sees him up there arriving a lot of the time, and he's done great.
Just ahead of this run of games, how's the squad looking? Any injuries after the international break?
No, we've had our last group of players back in this morning, so all come back absolutely fine. Cam obviously back and fit. We managed him in that last game. So no, we're all geared up, excited by the games ahead.
I think you described this as an ultra marathon, 4 months of solid football, Europe and domestic stuff. Is it going to be as much a psychological test as a physical one?
Yeah, but we're in a really, really good place in a physical and a mental place. You know, the team is playing well, playing at a really high level. And we have a squad where I can change it about and freshen it up when we need to. So we're in a really good place. You know, there's no winter break this time, but we're excited by that challenge of game after game. We have to play, we have to recover. From a managing, coaching perspective, you're then looking to make sure you get the balance right in the teams to ensure we have the energy in the games. So, but what is key is you just look at the next game, and it's the mantra of any coach and manager. But I can't think too far ahead. You know, we can only think of Hearts and make sure we're ready physically, mentally for that one, and then get ready for the next one.
They're obviously under a new manager, and Neil Critchley. What are you expecting from tomorrow night? Obviously under the lights on Saturday night.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. I think the last time I was there, I was Liverpool manager at night. I think we played Hearts in a Europa League game. I think it was. Every other game has obviously been 12 o'clock kick-off or whatever it is, an early kick-off in the day. So, but my experience there, whether it's night or day, whatever, it's always an intense game. I think that Hearts, in terms of the position that they're in, it doesn't quite probably align with some of the performances they've had. I think they've performed fairly well from what I've seen, but not quite got the results. I think with Neil coming in, he's an excellent coach who will look to organise them, get them working hard and playing good football. So like every game we're there, we expect a tough game.
You mentioned that you managed Cameron's fitness the last game out at Kilmarnock. You confident now he's ready to play every week, every 3 days if required? Obviously you can rotate it as well too.
Yeah. I don't need them to play every single game, and he probably won't play every single game. But it's having the availability there. So I think we'll have to manage the whole squad over this coming period. But he just had a couple of wee niggles that we obviously got him through the Dundee, Aberdeen, Leipzig games. It was just too much of a push, we felt, to risk the injury for the Kilmarnock game. But the guys got through that really well. He's had time to work, and now he's ready and fit for the next run of games.
Can I ask you about Alexandro Bernabei, Brendan? He's been getting a lot of good plaudits in Brazil. He's obviously maybe been out of people's minds a wee bit, but he's going to come back into contention here soon. Has he got a chance of maybe, cutting it here second time around perhaps?
Well, I think the whole idea, I think it's great that he's gone away and done well, and sometimes you just find that, I think he'd been here for a period of time, it hadn't worked out as probably what he or the club would have wanted. And sometimes that happens, you go away, you go back into a different culture, a different life, and back into obviously South America for him, and the reports that I hear is that he's done well. So, but there's nothing more to add than that. He'll finish his spell there, and then we'll look at that and see where that's at come January.
And another player I can ask about from the academy is Dan Cummins. He's been scoring quite a lot of goals for the B team. How do you view him, first team prospects potentially in future?
Yeah, there's so much involved in a young player getting an opportunity to play, and I would like to think that I've been a coach that all my career I've put in young players. So if you trace my career back as a manager before my 15 years as a youth development coach, I've played players at 16 years of age, 17, 18. So it's not just about scoring goals or performing, it's your mentality, it's your professionalism, all these things alongside ability that is what gets you the opportunity. So that's always something that I'll assess. I think in terms of Daniel's output, his goals in his games, he's done very well, okay? But like I say, there's lots of things that when I bring in a young player that I consider. So young players will always get a chance here. And there's always a number of factors of why they can and can't get a chance. But the first one's normally ability that I will look at. If they're good enough, they'll get a chance. So you'll hear all these things around Celtic and the pathway, and there's not a pathway here and they don't get a chance. If you're good enough, you get a chance. Good enough in terms of your game and good enough in your attitude. If you do that and you have a little bit of patience, you can become a Celtic player like Callum McGregor, like Kieran Tierney, like James Forrest, like Tony Ralston, like Stephen Welsh, like Dane Murray, who's played some game. So you get a chance, but you've got to have the right traits in order to be a Celtic player.
Is patience one of the biggest ones, Brendan? Because you've seen recent
Aye.
times where maybe players have been impatient. And
I think it's a very complex thing, especially up here, where kids will come through, and if you think of Celtic, sadly some of the players have left early, so some of the top talents that maybe sit in the top bracket of the age groups have maybe left at 15, 16. Some have stayed on and then left that bit earlier. But I think what has shown with the guys that are in the system, when they do have that little bit of patience, and they show those right attributes, then they get a chance. And for me, I can only talk as the manager of here. It's my first look. My first look is always from within, because I know that the Celtic player coming through the system will have that extra 1 or 2% more than a guy I bring in from Spain or Portugal or wherever. So my look is always for the young player to come through the system. But that's what we have to work on over the coming years. How can we get that transition to bring them into the team? And sometimes that is patience, because sometimes they leave away before that. But that's something we have to try and manage.
Can I just ask about Nicholas Kuhn as well? Julian Nagelsmann, the Germany manager, gave him a wee name check over the break. Should that be a realistic target for Nicholas to go and work his way into that full national squad?
Why not? Why not? He's playing at a massive club. He's performing at the highest level. It's his dream to play for his country, and he can't do much more. Only consistently do it. I think you're playing against a German team, a team that's recognised as being one of the top teams in terms of infrastructure, organisation, on pitch play. To play how he did, score 2 goals. Of course, that's going to grab the attention. It will all be about the consistency. But there's no reason why he can't. And because if you're playing at the top level and playing as well as he is at a massive club, then you'll come on the radar for sure.
Brendan, just in the last run of games said before the break, looked like Rio was finding some really good form. How do you assess his development in the time that you've had to work with him?
Yeah, I think he's a big talent. It's just consistency. My big thing is about getting him working harder, pressing the game. That's my number one thing with all players. If you press the game well, you'll do all the other things well. I think last year it was a bit hit and miss for him, just purely because he was injured a lot, and then when he came in, but I seen flashes of it. But then over the course of pre-season, he was fit for pre-season. He got himself fitter, and there's no doubt he's playing well now at a consistent level, and that's just the challenge he has in terms of abilities. He's got some wonderful ability, like his nutmeg, his pass that he had here against. Wow, what a piece of ability! There's not many people can do that, but it's having the consistency and having the mentality to do that. Whether you're playing Kilmarnock on an Astro, or whether you're playing Red Bull Leipzig in a Champions League game. So I've been really pleased with Rio, and now it's just hopefully consistently can perform.
I heard you reference the generational differences between the squad you had here the first time and the current squad. In all your years in management, what would you say is the biggest generational difference from when you started to how players are now?
Yeah, there's a big difference now. I think when I started coaching, and it was very sort of autocratic way of coaching, and it was very much about telling people, and that's how we were brought up and everything else. I think now the the coaches that will succeed. And not only just football coaches or football managers, but maybe in general life as well. I think the empathisers, people who empathise more with people, will probably grow and become, over this next generation, really successful, whether that's in entertainment, arts, teaching, coaching, managing. So that ability to empathise with people now is more important because of society and the life that we're in. And I've always seen myself as that type. I've always wanted to maximise what I can get out of people, and but yeah, I think from coaching and now all these games later as a manager, definitely change, and it will continue to evolve. That's our world.
Just spoke about Alistair Johnson extending his contract, possible Greg Taylor. Is it too early to talk about you extending your time here?
I said on my first day what? What did I say on my first day here?
3 years, you'll guarantee you'll stay.
Absolutely. So you need. So there's no. Hey, unless I get bumped early. I don't think it was actually that word, but it was something that. And no, listen. I said I'd be here for 3 years. At the end of 3 years, I'll have done nearly 6 years as Celtic manager, which is a long time for a Celtic manager. But no, I haven't even really thought about it. Listen, I think for near on a year, I think there was probably more people wanted me out than in. So I'm not going to be talking about new contracts now. I just need to continue to work well, do my very best for the club, and then I'm pretty sure at some point next season or whatever we can see how we're going and then take it from there. But at the minute, I love my life here. It's an amazing club to work in. Funny enough, going away and coming back has made it even better for me because I knew what I missed when I was away. So I'm not in a big rush to be leaving it again. But no, it's a great place to be. I love working with the players, and they say in life the biggest currency you have is time. And I think when you get to 51 and as you get older, you realise that time around people you love, around your family, around your workplace. And I would have to agree with that. And where I am at the minute, I'm in a brilliant place. So just keep it that way.
It's also fair to say, looking at AGM today, and you're at the top table, is it fair to say you're more than just a manager of this football club? I mean, you're, in terms of your position, your stature, and your authority, and all the other stuff involved. Is that fair to say that you're maybe more than just a manager here?
I don't feel that. I think that Celtic is one of the clubs, like the big clubs around the world, the Liverpools and the Cities, whatever else, where the manager is like the architect of the club. But you can't do everything on your own, of course. You need to have great people around you. I've got a brilliant coaching staff, led by John Kennedy, who's an outstanding coach. I've got other staff, absolutely amazing. But certainly you get the chance to come in here and present your vision, and the club will support that in every which way, you know. So no, I've always felt really comfortable here. My driver has always been constant improvement and development and of the club, and that's the big aim again this time, and we see that happening, and I want it to continue happening for a long time, hopefully.